Hi and welcome to episode 2 of the IM PLAYIN Podcast. This is going to be a special edition of the podcast. It's going to be on our favourite games ever. Hopefully you'll agree. You'll hear some titles you've not done before. I don't know, but this is obviously your stop for an honest opinion of the games we've played. Ooh. See what I did there?
Oh, come on, winner.
See, if you'd watched the first podcast, you'd know that the actual tagline is of the games we're playing, which is why that was funny.
That was hilarious.
Anyway, to kick things off, obviously, I'm Rom Nom Nom, Conrad.
I'm Alec, otherwise known as Alex Pillock.
I'm Steve Riley, aka Kelius.
I'm
kind of being poked in the face right now.
Fantastic. I'm Alex Nicol with the second name there, Nicoll, aka Think Bad Monkey.
Okay then, yeah, brilliant.
Keep it down. You're telling me to keep it down? I'm being censored on my very own podcast.
He's a little bit loud. So, who wants to kick things off? Alec, would you like to kick things off?
I will kick things off with my favourite game of all time ever, which is Oblivion Elder Scrolls. Now, Oblivion Elder Scrolls, or Elder Scrolls Oblivion, depending which way you go for it, was one of my favourite games because it was the first proper RPG that I'd ever played, especially on the Xbox 360. There was just like so much depth to the game, and I love the fact that you could ride horses, and I also love the fact that you could kill the horses, which is probably a bit sadistic.
Pretty dark,
Isn't that like one of the signs that I could be like a murderer later on in life?
I know exactly what you mean, except for it wasn't the first RPG I played. It was probably the first Western RPG because I was a massive Final Fantasy fan back in the day, back in the PS2 days. So Elder Scrolls Oblivion was not only the first Elder Scrolls series I played, but probably the first proper Western RPG I actually genuinely enjoyed. And I don't know about anyone else, but it took me a while to get into it. I mean, it was definitely a fantastic game.
Yeah.
But it does take you a while to get in.
It took me a hell of a long time to get into it, and truth be told, I feel like I was a bit forced into enjoying it. Obviously, I did become, I did begin to really enjoy it, but it got to that point where my brother had got every achievement, and he was like, "Oh, I absolutely love this game." That I kept thinking to myself, "Why am I not enjoying this? Why am I not enjoying this?" And then after a while, you just think, "Actually, this is a good game. It's a really good game."
Yeah. See, for me, I just went straight into it. I loved it from the offset. Yeah, like all the time. Conrad's making a really horrible gesture at the moment, but yeah, I loved it from the outset, and it's just one of those games for me that sort of just absorbed me straight away. Similar games being like Fallout 3, I found the same, just sort of like dragging me straight in. I love the fact I'm a huge fan of character customization and character creation. Sure. I love being able to make my own character, and I absolutely hate games. I hate RPGs. I hate them so much when they give you a set character because it just annoys me.
I was going to say, well, for me, the main problem with character customization is the fact that it takes me about an hour. I'm not sure about you guys, but when you face that character customization screen and you think, I have got to change my eye colour, I've got to change my eyebrows, as well as all that, I take about an hour. I'm not sure about you guys.
Yeah.
I can do every single detail.
So I recently played. We basically played DC Universe Online, which is free on the PlayStation 4 at the moment. And I started my character. I spent a decent amount of time creating him, and I was playing. And I said to my good friend Steve, you need to get on this game. And Steve downloaded the game, and he said to me, and he's very truthful, I will spend this whole evening creating my character. And he wasn't wrong. He spent an unnecessary amount of time creating his character, and you know what, his character is just a silver guy. It's not even important in the end anymore, but he was stuck to me. It's like, oh man, I've got so many choices. And I think Steve, you'd be happy if there was two choices, and I think but I think even if there was two choices, you'd still spend half an hour deciding which one was the
That is very true. It would take me that long.
I think if you're going to be one of those people that changes the eyebrows on a RPG guy, you need to realise what's important in life.
But no, it's the thing.
True, that is
it's
true.
not, because you want to envision yourself. Like if you're playing an RPG, you see yourself as that character, and you will change that hairstyle.
Look at his eyebrows and think, mine are an angle of 31 degrees, and this angle is 33 degrees. I need to change this shit.
I don't do it to that degree, but I will.
But how I'd want to have a customization of an RPG is them to have 7 or so. I'd like to have a choice of facial sets, colour of the hair, and then maybe an outfit. When it gets into the eyebrows, I feel guilty that I didn't do it because I probably should have done. I like to have customization, but not too much customization.
So for me, there's nothing worse than having created a character and then looking at him and thinking, for Christ's sake, his eyebrows make him look like a prick. So I love the opportunity. Or a paedophile, yeah. I mean, the last thing you want is to create an orc paedophile.
I remember your character from. I remember your first character from the Elder Scrolls series, and
the one that I used to dress up in.
Yeah, I mean, people filed a lawsuit against that.
I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, I mean, he had his own YouTube channel, and it got really creepy. But I digress. I guess the character customization was a great topic, a great part of the Oblivion game. But it was also the fact that it was like this massive game world that not only had the sort of I think it was Cyrodiil was the main city. Cyrodiil was the main city, but then for Oblivion,
wasn't the world called Cyrodiil?
No, Tamriel. I think was the world.
Tamriel, yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, Cyrodiil was the place for Oblivion, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And you could like explore all this city. But then at the same time, it had like all of this forest on the outskirts, and then you could go through the Oblivion gates, and then you're in like this sort of area that represented hell. And they're like demons and these guys that had like Darth Maul looking faces, and you just like smack them in the face with.
That's when you kind of like the weapons as well, wasn't it? Because you had
Daedric.
The Daedric.
That's it.
The Daedric weapons and Daedric armor.
Daedric weapons,
which were actually very cool, but probably not so helpful in the game when you kind of pick up dragon scale and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I never really got to find any of the dragon armor. I didn't really get to play it that long, although I did complete it 100% and get all of the achievements as well as the add-ons like Knight's Shivering Islands.
Wait, if you completed it 100% and got all the stuff, but you didn't play it enough to get the dragon armor.
Well,
surely,
but the dragon armor was like you had to get your smithing level to level 100, and to do that you had to like just create iron daggers for hours and hours on end. And
I did that a lot of Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly. That was Skyrim.
I always focus on Pooncraft whenever I did Oblivion, which was of course the art of picking up chicks within the game. That was a thing, right? I'm not going to lie to the viewers out there. We're drinking heavily, so that could be a figment of my imagination.
No, that's true.
In Skyrim, you could get wives. I don't think you could in Oblivion. But,
no, I don't think you could.
See, I played Skyrim as well. And I love the Elder Scrolls series, and I love that sort of game, like the mythical knights and shining armor and dragons. And I'm really looking forward to the Elder Scrolls Online, which is coming out later this year. I think it's in the summer sometime.
A long-awaited title, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so
long-awaited.
Console?
Yes. Next gen and PC.
You gonna play? You gonna play?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get it.
But you gonna pay monthly?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pay.
Okay.
Because I've never actually paid for like an MMO RPG experience. Like I never got into WoW, which I know Steve.
Which takes you on to me, yeah. Well, I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to be ashamed to admit it, but I definitely was a WoW player for at least 6 years.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a shame.
6 years is a lot to say. Playing one particular game, I haven't played it when I was about 15.
But I mean, just have some outline as well. We all play WoW for a point, but I mean, Steve, you played. You played WoW for longer than us did.
I was a part of WoW during vanilla.
Oh, except for Alec, you didn't play.
I never played.
No, so Alec didn't play WoW. So what is you? Me, Steve, and Con did. Yeah. But Alec and you. I mean, you guys played WoW longer than I did. Yeah. Steve, you really played WoW.
Things are like I will mention WoW. I will have to admit that WoW. World of Warcraft has definitely got to be my favourite game because there was so much to take into it. I mean, I'm now, at the age that I am now, it's. You look back and think, well, what was I doing? But I then look back and think, like, it was amazing. It was such an incredible experience.
I'll be honest, I don't think that at all. I look back at it and think, I absolutely loved my time. I know you were saying there, this is obviously only going to make sense to people who have played WoW. Steve played vanilla. I played just pre-TBC.
You was Burning Crusade.
I started doing it hardcore TBC.
Of course.
So a big shout out to all the people that we played with. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
I was at the time Kalius still as an Orc warrior, as a tank for most of it, and obviously
I was Hannibal Garza.
and
Yeah, I was a,
Galca, wasn't you?
yeah, I was a tank for going nowhere on Bloodfeather.
Back in the day. Yeah.
Big shout out to Queer Bloke if you're listening.
Yeah, if
Queer,
you're
Queer
still
Bloke,
there.
you are still a lad.
You
my
know
friend.
what Bloodfeather bring up? I played WoW for probably the same amount of time as maybe Connor, maybe a bit less. But with any online RPG, I suffer with the whole thing. If I get to like level 15 and realise I actually don't want to be this character, and I started playing World of Warcraft second out of all of our groups. Steve played first, I joined second, but ended up being the lowest level character because I simply kept swapping I kept swapping characters for the new one. And you know what? Like, I sod it. I enjoyed it. You know, and I was an Orc Shaman, which I should have been for my whole life in WoW, but I ended up being a Blood Elf Hunter. You guys taking me through
Zul'Farrak.
To get the epic weapon.
Scarlet Monastery we did fucking hundreds of times.
But it's bloody fun, and do you think the money I don't want to say wasted. I think the money we spent on that, you got a lot of hours out of it, you know. And that was in the dial-up days. That was in the days I'd come home to and I'd say, "Mum, do you need the phone for the next hour and a half?" And she'd say no, and I'd play World of Warcraft, you know.
If you was to ask a lot of players, I mean, I'm currently not a WoW player. I haven't played for several years now, and I'm pretty glad about that because I've seen the changes that they've brought into it, and it's just not the same anymore. I mean, obviously, I haven't played for, like I said, about 6 years, which is a heck of a lot of time.
That's a long time.
I did a lot of raiding, and obviously I've done arena and all that lot, and it was fantastic. But it's not so much the game, but you've also got this social interaction, which does sound pretty lame, and I admit that it does.
You make a lot of friends for it.
You do make a lot of friends. You kind of like, it's this social interaction that you kind of come home from school. Obviously, when we was at school ourselves in sixth form, and you'd get home and then you'd have this second little world, and it was so indulging, and it's just like you get back and you just crack on with it, and you'd grind. And it's
you'd
also
grind for gear, you'd grind for gear,
and you'd do so much. And it was, for me, there's no game that I've ever in my entire life played for so long in a dedication as well. There's no way. There's no way that I would ever in my entire life sit down.
Dedication,
day in, day out, was based on that.
You talk to people no matter what. I mean, you're in a party with, I don't know, people in a foreign country, you'd still end up talking to them because it's just what you do. As I gave a shout out to Queer Bloke, he was
good old Queer Bloke.
Yeah, he was my like manager per se. He was my guild leader. Yeah,
lover.
He was a lover.
He was a Queer Bloke.
He actually swore, and my mum heard him, and he actually asked me to bring my mum back in the room so he could apologise to my mum. That's the sort of bloke he was. He was a lovely guy. And
a known womanizer.
He was. I mean, with a name like Beer Bloke, what do you expect?
Oh, Beer Bloke.
Beer Bloke. Yeah,
everyone called him Queer Bloke because, like, there was this whole thing of he'd make his fat character dance with men.
Oh.
/dance.
Yeah.
But no, it was a fantastic experience. It was great, but it wasn't just that, but it's also the team. So when you've got a game like nowadays, you'll have maybe a deathmatch of 8v8, 10v10.
You would know
in WoW, you've got this 40 potential. Obviously in vanilla, not so much now when it obviously got cut down to 20. But originally, you had a 40-man raid. And trying to organise a 40-man raid, 40 crazy. Individual players is incredible. And it was just like to be a part of that. It wasn't the fact that, one person can completely dominate. It was the fact that it was a team effort. If you didn't succeed as a team, you wasn't succeeding at all.
And back in the day, it was obviously 20. I say back in the day, you said 40 for vanilla. That was true. 25 for TBC. Those 25 people knew what that fight was inside out. You would laugh as a group. You'd beat that boss as a group. One person fucked up. That was it. Pretty much.
You wipe up.
It was a wipe, and you'd restart. And obviously you'd say fuck's sake, but you wouldn't hold it against them. You'd go again. They made the same mistake again. Obviously you'd think about it, but I mean obviously now it's down to 10, I believe, for most raids. You can make it 25, but it's mostly 10. But still, that team feeling is a game that it's a feeling that I've never had with a game apart from that. I mean, World at War, which I'm sure we're going to mention, Call of Duty World at War. We had that team feeling of us lot, which went up to 6, obviously us 4 here and then 2 outsiders. But but that was a team limit of 6 that we all grew up with. Whereas this was a team of 10, 25 back in the day, who you might not have spoken to one of them before, but you'd end up being best friends, and it was just an absolutely amazing feeling.
And you can replace that. It's difficult to go back on that, really. And that's why it is my Caddies' best game, really, of all time.
Definitely,
you couldn't replace that time. It's difficult.
It's loved how you refer to yourself in third person.
Yeah, well, it's...
There, Steve, that's fantastic.
Self-promotion.
Self-promotion, yeah. Hashtag. But yeah, that's enough about WoW, really. I'm sure we all know that.
It's difficult to pierce this massive sexual tension you guys obviously have about World of Warcraft. But
well, they're going to try with
But I'm going to use the sharp point of Time Splitters 2 to try and derail the World of Warcraft orgasm fest, which is apparently occurring in front of my eyes.
It already happened.
If I can cut in,
no, you know what, Conrad?
Future Perfect.
You can cut in. I'm gonna So I'm gonna say Time Splitters Future Perfect. Apologies. So my favorite. This leads on to my favorite game is Time Splitters Future Perfect, and I always think it's kind of impossible for us guys to have a favourite game of all time, because we love so many games, and I can have a game that comes out such as Tear Away for the Vita is fantastic, but if there's a game which I can probably base the pinnacle of my incredible amazement at what gaming can do, it's Future Perfect, because not only does it tell unrivaled freaking narrative in the story, like the way it cuts. People applaud BioShock for the way it links with other stuff, and people applaud it, but Time Splitters did it when everything in the storyline was watertight. It cut in perfectly, and combine that with a gameplay that I would happily play with myself against all the bots. And nowadays, if I played against bots, multiplayer has ruined me, my expectations. But then it was enough to me be a cyber monkey against all freaking other load of zombie monkeys and for hours. And, and PS2, 2 players, you get involved, you play multiplayer. Steve, I know you had it on the
GameCube.
The GameCube, so 4 players even better. I just think Time Splitters 2 was the pinnacle of storytelling on the PS2 era, and the GameCube era.
That generation.
And I just haven't had... I mean, I have had since. Storytelling in BioShock has been incredible.
BioShock, Infinite, BioShock in general.
But I was sport rotten with the amount of narrative and quality within Time Splitters, and I knew you guys have played it as well. So
I think Conrad is bursting.
Conrad knows what he wants to say.
Obviously, I've just spoken a lot about WoW. WoW is my joint favourite game with, about 3 others, one of which is Time Splitters 3. I first played Time Splitters 2, and I must tell you, Time Splitters 2 was absolutely fantastic.
What console did you play on?
Xbox.
It was
Crystal.
Xbox.
I had the Crystal Xbox.
On Time Splitters 2, there's a map in Time Splitters 2 which
my favourite map was the moon.
More than anything else, it was the one with the ice map, and it had a little thing.
Oh right, yeah.
No, that was Time Splitters 3. We had the buggy.
That's
you could get
Future
the car.
Perfect.
No.
Oh.
There was one Time Splitters 2. It was ice, and it had like a little tower in the middle, and it had like a little port, like a little bridge out in the sort of sea area. And the briefcase. That was the briefcase.
That was 3.
No, it was 2.
You had one massive wall.
Mate, honestly, it was 2. No, there was a nice one in 3, which was huge. You had the Jeep.
Yeah, the Jeep and the massive wall.
But there was one in 2 where it was ice, and I played Capture the Briefcase.
Yeah.
One briefcase was on like a little jetty, and one briefcase was at the top of like this little tower in the middle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That from Time Splitters 2 stuck with me, but Time Splitters 3 in general is
what stuck with me the most from Time Splitters 2 was the fire mode. So obviously you had Virus in Time Splitters 3, Future Perfect.
Was that tag?
Yeah, it's pretty much tag. It's Virus, it was called. And what would happen is that you'd go around with a blue beam. On Time Splitters 2, they had the proper version where you would be on fire, and you'd go around and obviously you'd be on fire and you'd get someone else on fire. But Time Splitters 3 took the gameplay and the hilariousness of Time Splitters 2 and pushed it up a level. The gameplay, the story was tight, as you say, as tight as BioShock. The hilarious nature of it was in sync with Saints Row, in my opinion, and it's a game that just was second to none.
See, all I remember from Time Splitters Future Perfect, I'm going to admit this now, Time Splitters is not one of my favourite games.
Boo!
Thumbs down.
Kick him
I
out.
played it a bit, but I never really played it properly. If I had played it properly, I probably would have loved it, to be
You would have
honest.
done.
But the only game I'd ever played, same for Halo 3. Actually, I'm not a Halo fan.
You got some
I'm
Halo
not a Halo
fans on this
fan.
table right
I'm an
now.
Xbox fan, but I'm not a Halo fan.
I'll allow it, you know.
So-
I'll allow that.
The Time Splitters Future
you
Perfect,
were,
all
you
I
were.
remember is virus mode. And all I remember doing is playing it with my friends on the PS2 with the old, is it multi-tap? Is that what they were called? Like you used to plug it into the PlayStation 2.
Oh,
and then you
God,
could
yeah.
plug the multi-tap.
You could plug more in, you
four
could plug
controllers
four
in.
in.
Yeah, four.
Yeah. This is before wires. Well, this is wires.
Before-
Before
No, this is
wireless.
before wireless.
Before
Before
wireless.
I'd like to add my Crystal Xbox had 4 ports.
It did, but that could be
Alright,
GameCube
yeah,
as
this
well.
is Xbox.
This is like
Xbox.
PS2 back in the day of.
Yeah,
Anyway.
PS2 was still the undisputed champion as a
It
little
was
side note.
not.
Yeah.
I had PlayStation 2
It's
and
GameCube.
Xbox.
GameCube.
This is for another podcast.
There's another
This is for
podcast.
another
Anyway.
podcast.
All I remember is getting into a corner with 3 of my friends, and we'd
Whoa!
all have shotguns, and we'd just aim it at the door, and then as soon as the zombies or the infected, whatever they were, ran in, we'd just mow them down with the shotguns, and it was basically, it's a lot like Call of Duty World at War zombie mode. It's as soon as one person had to reload, the other person started firing, and it's once that sort of like that mesh of organised military, as soon as one cog fell, the rest crumbled and they just piled in and everybody was infected until one person, you'd say to your friend, kill me, because when they killed you, you wouldn't be infected, you could then sort of like carry on
Spawn
playing.
again, yeah, 'cause it's almost like a suicide,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah, like a suicide. And that is all I remember of Time Splitters. I think that's Future Perfect.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think that's Halo borrowed. I don't know if they purposely did, but they actually borrow a hell of a lot.
Yeah,
from that.
the
Halo Infected is very similar.
It's
It is,
incredible. We
yeah.
did the exact
Sorry.
same thing, holding off in a corner until somebody got infected.
And you can shoot your mate and he come back alive somewhere else. Like,
Unless, of course, it was done on purpose, which I'm pretty sure you did a lot of times to me.
I mean, I
Like,
killed
will
you. Now, Steve, I killed you a lot, and I can say it definitely was on purpose.
I knew that. The fact that you'll be like teabagging my corpse after you'd done that. I mean,
I don't deny that. I'm quite proud of that fact. I've got if you go to www.alexteabagsteve.com, you can see multiple pictures and videos of me doing that. That's not a real website. Alex Nick apologises for any inconvenience caused.
that's actually some sort of porn site, in fact.
But full circle.
Do you know what this makes me think of? This is incredibly off topic.
Yeah,
But
go
when we used to play Battlefield 2, Bad Company, and we used to go around and we would try our hardest to steal each other's dog tags. I don't know why that reminded
Can you
me.
do that on your own?
Yeah. Do you remember we used to try and kill each other so we could have because you used to collect dog tags and you'd
I
have
didn't
the
play
names of the
Battlefield
dog
2.
tags. I swear you did.
Bad Company. I played Bad
I
Company.
played-
No, it was Battlefield
Okay.
2, Bad Company.
Oh, right.
I
fair-
had
fair play.
Yeah. So anyway, we used to try and steal each other's dog
I
tags.
do remember that now,
Yeah.
I remember us saying, Steve, you'll be the helicopter pilot, and you pretended you were, but occasionally it went very, very wrong.
There are
Occasionally,
times I would fly it and I'd say, I've got this, guys, I've got this, and actually it would be a matter of crashing into the ground several seconds later. But I at least got us a few further feet than we originally was.
we probably would have died anyway because I mean that game was just carnage.
It was, yeah. I mean, if anyone who hasn't played Battlefield, which in case you should, well, I don't know, if you haven't played it already, then you should be ashamed, I think, as a gamer, if you haven't played it, really. I mean, you need to at least play it once.
But we've talked about my favourite game, we've talked about Steve's favourite game, talked about Alex's favourite game. Now I need to talk about...
Mystery guest.
Okay, so Rom Nom Nom's favourite game.
Comrade
Okay,
window.
so as mentioned, I have a couple of favourite games.
Cheat.
WoW, yeah, I know it's
Well,
a
we've
cheap
discussed
bite,
that.
but you just can't
You can't follow
help
it.
it with it at times. WoW was a favourite game of mine. I
We could talk
absolutely
about it for
loved
hours, I think.
WoW, yeah, WoW.
Well,
I
you
could
two
go on
could.
about.
We could do, yeah.
I could sit here and watch you two talk about it.
Time Splitters is another one I could go on about. There's 2 games left, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning both of them at the same time.
FIFA.
One of them's been mentioned already, World at War.
Leisure Suit Larry.
Oh, Leisure Suit Larry! Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
right.
god!
You
The sort of young teenage pervin me wanting to play Leisure Suit Larry. Never did.
But anyway, yes. Sorry, comrade.
That's okay. So one of them's World at War. The other one, The other one is Left 4 Dead.
See, Left 4 Dead is something I wanted to say because Left 4 Dead is every single one of ours.
Okay,
favourites.
and
Yeah.
that
It's
is-
unanimous.
So what
Wait, just quick. Left 4 Dead 1 or 2?
One. It had to be one.
One.
Left
So,
4 Dead 1. Okay, we got that cleared up.
We'll crack on with World at War right now. World at War, I mean, the story was, it's COD. The story doesn't really matter for COD for most of their games. But the
They stole it from
multiplayer-
history, the bastards.
The zombies on it was fantastic. The maps were fantastic.
Hours we
The
spent.
Japanese map was brilliant. The actual map, the original map, was brilliant. Their Riser was brilliant. The multiplayer, I think I honestly got to Prestige level 7 without the cheat. I just remember we spent hours on that as a team, and I mean the amount of memories I have of shooting people with that Kar 98 is just fantastic.
The hours I put in to get the PPSH
The
was
publisher.
unbelievable.
The push.
The publisher.
Yeah. One of my, I believe that World at War is the only Call of Duty game where you could blow the limbs off of other players.
Was that
Which
true?
was my favourite aspect, when you throw a grenade and then all of a sudden this guy's leg would fall off and you just see him cradling a stump.
Really?
And you can mow through them with the Browning, like chop them in half with the Browning. This is like proper carnage. Now people get shot and there's no blood and they're just like, and they fall over and they're dead.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of people, you would put bouncing Betties
The bouncing
as a addition because you knew that bouncing Betties would lead to blowing someone's leg off and you having more kills. I mean, I've still got pictures on my old phone to be sad where I've got kill death ratios of, I've got a ratio of 12 kills to every death, and it's just one of those things you just you remember and you think fondly of 48 of the 75 team kills and you've got them for 4 deaths.
But is that something like, that's a different kind of section of gaming though, because then that is where you become proud of what you've achieved. Really, I mean, how many games do you have that of? I mean, mainly it is first-person shooters where you can look at the at the end of the day when you're playing a multiplayer game such as Call of Duty, the main thing that you're looking at as a competitive gamer is the score. That's the thing. Like if you're looking at your kill to death ratio, if you're mindless, you're thinking to yourself, "Well, I'm going to do better." And obviously, in Conrad's case, when you're seeing those kind of kill to death ratios, you're thinking, "Wow, I am the nuts. I am the absolute dog."
And this World at War was like, because obviously Time Splitters was a lot of offline multiplayer. I would play it with my great friends of mine. CJ, I hope you're listening to this at some point. And obviously you play that offline. You've got WoW, which was online, but World at War was a different type of online. It was the first console online game that I played intensely.
Yeah, and you know what? Zombies.
We're
Yeah,
going
you
to
know
talk
what I mean?
about Left 4 Dead.
We're going to have to move on to Left 4 Dead.
We have to move on to Left 4 Dead, but Call of Duty, World at War.
Oh,
was
Call of
zombies.
Duty, yeah. of
don't
course.
forget them. Like that. I mean, you mentioned earlier on
That revolutionised
four-man
it.
squad, but with 2 extra people for multiplayer. But it was a 4-man squad for zombies. You know what I mean? The first zombie map was incredible. The fact it didn't need anything else.
But it was
I always think it's got a bit too complicated
Yeah.
now. But the fact that you get to like level 16, 20, 30, you know what I mean? It was
It
great.
meant something.
Back in those
It was
days, what
great.
level did we get to though? I mean, we're struggling at what?
14.
14, 15.
I can't
We're
even
thinking
remember,
when we
yeah.
first played, that was difficult.
Me and you got to like the highest level, like level 30 something once, didn't we?
Yeah, on a
no.
one-off. It's
Yeah.
sort of game where it's like if you get somewhere good, you get a bloody lucky
When you get a
streak.
good box, like everybody's like, "Oh, I got a bad box."
Oh, I got the freaking
The
laser
mission.
pistol.
That was just brilliant.
And
Unlocking
that
that
was
laser pistol
But I
and
mean,
you'll be
I
like,
think,
oh,
I think probably my favourite one was probably Shinonuma.
yeah.
The Japanese
I reckon
one.
probably Shinonuma because
I
you
think-
could hold off in that little back
Yeah.
area and you'd just be you against the bloody world. Like you'd go mental.
I mean, you say Shinonuma. We say Derizer.
Derizer.
Because
Derizer
Derizer,
was-
we played Derizer a hell of a lot, and there was a section where you
Is
go
that the
through.
Insane Asylum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't get that one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you go back to this part, and pretty much it's like a building on its own, and you could get the box downstairs if you were lucky enough. But up top, you had 2 people out the windows firing down. You had 2 people on the stairs covering it, and if you were overrun, you'd jump off the stairs and try and get out.
Run around.
Or you'd use a teleporter. This was the first teleporter.
What was the other one? The one they had the sort of thing where you could go in and you could turn your normal gun into something else. I think it was the fourth
Pack-a-Punch.
The back.
Yeah, that was
Deriza?
Yeah, Deriza.
So there was a proper Insane Asylum one.
Yep.
But there was the one also where you had the electric gates.
Yep, and that was Deriza.
Yeah.
So that was what's the other one? There's Shinonuma.
Shinonuma was the one that first introduced traps. So, like you'd like have your.
Yeah.
That's also was that the first one that had dogs as well?
Yeah,
that's the one where you'd be holding off.
So Shinonuma's great. And so I think I probably played Deriza loads. There was one more which I didn't play. One in the middle.
The first one was.
It's the one where the first one with the zombies were
Totem.
outside, where you could go outside. The very first one. Remember that? Where it's in the German Insane Asylum.
Yep. That is got to be Deriza, isn't it?
No, it's not
Deriza.
Deriza.
No, it's the other one, isn't it? Where you can go outside and you've got that little. You walk underneath that little. Well, you walk into like an outside building, isn't it? And you go up the staircase. It's a one way. You've got the mystery box sometimes in the corner.
Maybe because I didn't play that one. Deriza is the one where you start off and then you go up and there's the booth where you can teleport. You make your guns better if you got the best upgrades. Yeah. I played that one. The one I didn't play was probably the one. I think the one before that.
Okay. The first one, the original, was Not Der Untoten.
Yeah.
The undead. Then there was, I'm pretty sure it was Shinonuma.
The second expansion.
Was the second expansion. And then you have that one you're talking about, which I'm trying to think the name off of. For the love of me, I just cannot think of it.
Are we Googling? Are we Googling?
We can Google it, or we can move on. I mean,
I think Con will Google it.
We'll
talk about zombies.
Con will Google. We'll talk about Left 4 Dead.
We'll talk about Left 4 Dead. Yeah, I mean, Left 4 Dead. What is that?
So
it's got to be our favourite game.
Yeah, let's lay some context down. As a sixth form students, we worked hard during the day.
Wait.
We're going to segue quickly just for Conrad could tell the name of that.
Yeah, so the second one was Verrucht.
Yes.
There you go.
That's the one I didn't play. You guys played, I didn't play.
Verrucht means insane in German.
Yeah.
It means crazy. And that was the Insane Asylum. And
so that was the second one.
That was the one, I believe.
That was second,
yeah. Then Shinonuma, then Deriza.
Deriza. Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to put this out there. German is such a lovely language.
So friendly.
It really is.
So friendly.
It really is so good.
It's
such a nice language.
It is a lovely language.
But yeah, Left 4 Dead though.
But Left 4 Dead. So let's say context. I mean, like Left 4 Dead, sixth form. Every day after sixth form, we had a stage where we had played Cold War, which we've talked about. But the majority of time, we focused all our efforts on the. I mean, it's weird. The 4 campaigns that Left 4 Dead had to offer.
Yeah.
The amount of time we all spent on that game was insane.
Cracking on an expert, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we quite recently came back to it, didn't we? We
That was
played some of the add-ons.
That's 6 months ago now, but yeah, we did. Yeah.
Considering it came out in what, like 2006?
Some time ago.
7, something like that.
Google
7 or 8, I believe. Because we were in sixth form when it came out, so it must have been 2007. Yeah.
But the amount of time we spent on that, though. But things, it wasn't just that. It's the fact that you've got a game where you're bringing your closest friends together and having this zombie apocalypse. I mean, as a group of friends, we always kind of thought, well, if a zombie apocalypse happens, you know, where do we go? What happens?
2008.
And you know what? We still think like that.
We still do.
Yesterday, I said to Conrad. So I work with Conrad for the listeners out there. I said to Conrad. And we've got this like lamp thing, and I said,
whereabouts do you work?
I work in
London.
London.
Let's
I work in London.
Yeah, we work in London. Let's just go.
That'd be a
Conrad's ashamed. Conrad's ashamed to work for in the porn industry. We don't really. No, but anyway, so we got this light, and I said to Con, I was like, mate, we could totally rip one of the legs off, just tack a knife on that. That's a zombie fucking weapon right there. That's a fucking zombie weapon. And we were figuring this out. By the way, if you're in London, get to a dock and a boat out of there. That's the way to survive.
We've discussed
and
this.
And Alec, you work in London as well.
I have a much better way of surviving.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
I work in a museum. And
Self-promotion.
Museum of the Order of St. John.
Check
it out.
Museum of the Order of St. John.
Yep. But we have a third-party promotion. But we have a number of suits of armour. So my plan is that if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, I will don these suits of armour and I figure that zombies can't bite through chainmail and metal. Worst case scenario, they push me over, and then I starve to death with lots of zombies trying to eat me. But I mean, they'd never eat me. That would just be a really horrible way of dying.
This is something that must be quite a new phenomenon, I suppose.
Phenomenal.
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 Anyway,
Before we...
so it's where we think of what would we do in a zombie apocalypse, and Left 4 Dead hit that craving. It got a nail. It pretended I was Jesus, and it put that nail right in my wrist.
You know what? I didn't even mind being the chick. I didn't even mind
Zoe.
being
You
Zoe.
didn't mind being Zoe.
You know what?
I had times we were going, who's going to be Zoe?
I was Francis.
You know, we had a lot of discussions about that.
You know what? I think you were normally Francis. Me and you competed for Bill.
Yeah.
I ended up being Lois. I think Lewis.
Yeah, you always
Mainly
go
because
Lewis.
I would mainly go up to you, and if you press that right stick in, you go Lois. Lois.
Me and Ali competed to be and Bill, and then whoever didn't get Bill ended up competing with Steve, who was going to be Zoe or Lewis.
Yeah.
No, it's Lewis.
Lewis, yeah.
He's a man.
Not Lois. It's not Lois.
It's
Lewis.
Zoe or Lewis. And you know what? I didn't care because all of those characters were fantastic.
Yeah. But then, just to put it out there, what were the names of the characters in Left 4 Dead 2?
Coach.
Rochelle?
Rochelle, yeah. But we don't
Nick.
remember, yeah. Nick.
And who was the redneck guy? I didn't play Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't play it.
Anyway, my point being is that like Left 4 Dead 2 technically was a better game because you could use melee weapons.
There's more in it, wasn't
And
there?
there was more in it. There were more special infected, but then it didn't share the same feelings as Left 4 Dead 1. It was more the people that we were playing with that made the game, as opposed to the game itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing. When it came to Left 4 Dead, though, the amount of time we spent on it, though, it wasn't the fact that the things that the game was brilliant, but it was also the fact that we had such a close knit group who were playing it in the first place that made it. I reckon.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, you have the game, but you've also got the difficulty as well. The amount of time we spent. Trying to complete an expert was.
God, the amount of
who
times.
actually got that achievement in the end? I'll be honest, I got that
I
achievement.
think we had things that you had a time where you was on. I think it was an experience where we was trying to do an expert, and you had the point where if you died, you didn't get the achievement, and we was on the hospital.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of
No
I think I
Mercy.
survived.
No Mercy.
No Mercy, yeah.
I survived that one as well.
But things that one of us had to sacrifice themselves. If you know, it was you, Alec.
It was me.
You took
I
on the balls.
sacrificed myself.
You
I
sacrificed.
think
and you didn't get the
I've
achievement.
only got 2 on expert.
Yeah, me too.
One achievement I remember very, very vividly is there's one achievement which is survive the last stage without anyone taking damage.
Oh God!
And what we figured out is there was a.
There's a rock.
Okay, this may surprise people,
Spoiler.
but we tried to cheat.
We did.
But what we did is we figured out that if you did something, etc., one person could essentially just do it and get it. So we were like, we'll take it in turns.
It's hiding on the rock.
Yeah, and I went first. So it was my go first. I was going to do this certain way. We did it, and we survived. But the way it ended up is that we did so well that everyone got it in one go, genuinely, because we didn't take any damage. It was fantastic, you know what I mean? And from that moment on, I vowed that I will never cheat, unless I need to.
In which case you've done several times since.
In which case, but you know what? That's another thing that's downgraded since all these all these fantastic games we used to own had cheat codes.
Yeah.
God.
And now you have to pay for cheat codes, which leads on to our last conversation about microtransactions, but that was in the past.
Yeah.
I'll be
All
honest.
I want to say is fuck this shit.
I'll be honest. I didn't cheat on Time
Oh, whatever.
I-
Ricky Gervais. Oh, Mr. Innocent.
No. A lot of games I cheated any way I could. Grand Theft Auto. I mean,
That's
you
kind
do
of
it.
standard,
You
isn't
do
it?
it.
One second,
It's not
two,
fun to
left,
actually
right,
cheat in
left, right,
GTA.
left, right,
But-
left,
Up, down, left, right, up, down, left, right.
That's
Future
fun.
Perfect.
Or
Future
something.
Perfect. I did not cheat
No,
because
not
I
Future
loved
Perfect.
the hell out of it.
Well, I don't think there was any way to cheat.
I don't know,
right?
but I mean that's one game I just.
But I think actually there's a difference between cheating. GTA was cheat codes, if it was
Yeah.
any of that, but it was more bonus codes. Left 4 Dead, it was more taking advantage of glitches.
Yeah, it was. Well, it wasn't quite. It was glitches in a way, but I mean, one of them was if we all stand in that one cupboard and hide behind the cardboard, zombies can't hit us. Tanks we're unsure
That
of.
kind of failed.
And that backfired. I mean, the zombies,
Kind of
it worked
failed.
fine. The zombies couldn't hit us, but The tank came and fucked us.
When you're standing on top of each other and then you just see zombies coming and you go, yeah, this is cool, this is good. Then a tank just goes, fuck! And then you're just like, oh shit, and then it just kills you.
The first level I played with you lot was No Mercy, and I remember just going into that because what we'd do was we'd go into the cupboard upstairs in the hospital on the roof, and we'd stand on the edge and we'd fire away. As soon as we heard the noise for a tank, we would leave and we'd just be like, fuck, get to the top, someone use that gun if you can.
Yeah.
If they used the gun, it was a suicide sentence. Everyone else ran away, tried to get some Molotov cocktails, tried to burn the tank, but that game, no matter what happens, I look back with absolutely brilliant memories.
One of the first sort of games, right, that the AO was truly sort of ingenious in a way that it actually planned out your shit. It was different, right?
Yeah.
I don't remember playing a game really before that. I'm sure there was some technology behind it, but I don't remember playing a game before that was genuinely like every single time you play this game, you're going to get a different experience every single time.
Yeah.
And that's what exactly we left there, because things like the amount of times we played it, and you'd be playing on the first level, and then you could die. Or potentially you could play the first level and absolutely ace it. Yeah. And that was a good thing, because like you'd play it and then you'd be able to get through to the first stage. But things then you think about, well, where's the tank? Why hasn't the tank appeared?
Yeah.
And that was shit. And that was shit terrifying.
Paranoia.
Why hasn't the tank appeared? And if you're carrying on playing and going, well, it's going to happen. It's going to be on the next corner. It's going to be on the next corner. And you carry on playing and you think like, well, where the fuck is it? And you're going, okay, you relax a little bit, you turn around the corner, there's a tank, bam.
Steve, I remember playing the original with you, and we were on the sewer level, and I believe what was happening at the time was we'd all completed it with each other on normal difficulty, and we decided to go advanced, just us two, to get a feel for it, and then report back to Alec and Alex.
You guys scout ahead.
Yeah, pretty much a scout ahead, but obviously not. But and we went into a sewer. It was pitch black. Steve didn't have his torch turned on. No. He turned his torch on, noob. And who the fuck? What happens? Obviously, there's a tank right in his torch beam. Boom! The tank comes at us. We get boned.
Yeah, that was not pleasant. I will reiterate.
Exponed.
Reference. One of my that was my favourite part of the game. Both favourite and worst part of the game was the tank, because it was hilarious watching your friends be absolutely destroyed by the tank. But it was terrible being destroyed yourself. Yeah. That feeling where you've used your last health pack.
There's no more.
You're on your pills. Your pills are running out, and you're limping away, and you can feel the tank. You can feel it breathing on the back of your neck.
You can hear it.
Alex on his pill.
I'm on the pill. You can feel it breathing on the back of your neck. Turn around, pump as much lead into it as you possibly can, and then you just see it fall at your feet just before it hits you.
And you're on the floor just shooting with your ridiculous
with your little pistol just
and then while he's pounding on your face or your crotch. Not pleasant.
Yeah. And so I mean that's
on that bombshell, as Jeremy Clarkson would say.
I mean, let's just to wrap it up. So obviously Alex's favourite game was Oblivion, Elder Scrolls. Steve said WoW. Nips, you of course mentioned.
Alex Nichols said Time Splitters Future Perfect.
Of course, I mentioned World at War, and as a whole, we mentioned Left 4 Dead. And I mean, send us in your favourite games at www.implaying.co.uk, at Twitter /I'm_playing, or Facebook, exactly the same. You get the idea. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast, this second edition podcast.
Basically, thank you very much for 45 minutes of your time.
Yeah, I mean,
and hopefully it wasn't that bullshit.
I mean, you combine it with the first one, and that's 90 minutes of absolute joy.
Absolute cock.
I'm gonna push the boat here and say this is perhaps the best podcast that has ever been made ever.
So at least in the last 45 minutes.
Yeah. You just got the Think Bad Monkey's word of approval.
Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'm playing. You'll stop for an honest opinion.